I felt that I found that magic, that I felt that I found that magic key to unlock the kingdom of God within me. So I started writing all kinds of affirmations. So the first one I wrote was the one that was read today. I am of the I am. Then I wrote all these series of I am of the I am. I thought I was doing something great, but now everybody writes I am of the I am. Everybody done caught on to that magic key within them, which is a good thing, which is a very good thing. And I wrote universal consciousness, universal God, clouds of universal clouds and things like that. Things that just was really letting me to understand my oneness with God, my connection. It came through me in my writings. Because during the writings, I really didn't even know what I was writing about, what it was all about. But it was revealed to me, my divine connection through the writings. So a couple of poems I did unpublish and I started putting on my t-shirts. That's when I met a screen printer, later boyfriend, and now husband, and in that order. So he was what most Baptist people would consider a mighty man of God, which he was. He's very passionate about what he believed. And I, on the other hand, was very passionate about this truth that I just found, and I was so eager to share with him. So he didn't really believe in that type of teaching at that time, and he didn't believe it wanted nothing to do with it. So because I wanted this relationship, I kind of just started getting away from that type of teaching because I wanted the relationship. So it was still all good. So therefore, a few years down the road, our relationship went south. So we were living together in this apartment, okay? In the back of the screen print shop, we was living together in this apartment and things were sour, so I was asked to leave. So in the back of this screen printing shop was like a studio apartment. All right, so let me just paint this picture for you. It's this huge space, a studio apartment, right? And a lot of people don't even know it exists. And when you're there with the lights off and everything off, you can't even hear anything from the outside. So there I was, there on the floor, in the dark, in the silence, spiraling out of control in my own misery and sense of betrayal. Now, I could have made a phone call to somebody. I could have turned on that light. I could have got up off the floor and got into the bed. I could have even left because I had plenty of places to go. But yet, I stayed right there on the floor, spiraling out of control of my own misery. So, the one thing that I did, I yelled out that same burning question that was in my teen years. Who am I? And I just sat with that. And I realized it wasn't even about the breakup. It wasn't even about my relationship at all. It was about who am I? So I just sat with that. And I made my first declaration. My first declaration was, I will never again be what other people want me to be. Try to aspire to their belief and how they think I should live and what kind of woman I'm supposed to be. So that's the decision that I made. Now, a couple of years later, we got back together. Yay. So I became very discontent with my immediate surroundings, my immediate environment, and I wanted a change. So we decided to move out of Patterson to South Jersey, which is an hour and 45 minutes away. So my second declaration was, no matter what happens in my relationship, I will never return back to Patterson because I just felt it was like a mundane place that wasn't allowing me to live to my full potential. So I felt like I had to go before it just consumed me because that's how I was feeling. So I was still not practicing the teachings of Newport at all, but we agreed on the church home. It was Living Faith Christian Center in Pensacola, New Jersey, under Pastor Lamont McLean. I still love that pastor to this day. So he was a prosperity pastor, And he taught a lot of new thought principles that I knew when I hear it. So I just love that church. So so life was really good at that time. Life was good. I was happy, living in abundance, living in the overflow. But he made his transition a few years later. So we found another church home, which is all good. So then after going to this, so after that, years later, I just found myself slipping into the sadness again that I experienced before. A void like I was missing something, but I didn't quite know what it was. So I started driving around in my car so no one could witness how sad I was and that I can just cry in peace and once again be a victim of my own unhappiness. My own unhappiness, crazy as that sounds. So I truly believe that eyes are the windows of the soul. And I wrote a poem about it. Eyes don't lie. Small eyes, round eyes, oval eyes, they all behold the same. What the lips can say could soon pass away, but the eyes will never lie. But a lot of people don't pay attention to it. But that's how I want no one to see me because I didn't want them to see how sad I was. So here I am. I found a designated place so I can go and I can cry and I can wallow in my music by myself. So I found this tall building at the mall building. So here I am crying and crying and being all sad and everything. So then I looked up and I see cameras. Anywhere. So now I'm angry because I can't even cry and be miserable in peace. So here I am, and I yell out, God, I'm not happy. I'm supposed to be happy. Here I am, I have a house, I have the man, I have the money. I'm not happy. Well, this went after about 3 or 4 months. So somewhere from within me, somewhere from within me, it came to me that because you're not communing with me, you're not meditating, you're not even praying on a daily basis anymore. So that thought came to me a couple of times, but I put it down right away. Oh no, it can't be that. So I denied that. But the truth of it is, I knew that if I started back into what I believed to fill my spirit, that my marriage would be in jeopardy. So I just put that down right away. It can't be that. So anyway, as time went on, I decided to go back to my mother's house and get some of my old books, size of my magazines, the literature, the big, thick size of my book, and all those spiritual teachings that I just put away. So I pulled them out and I used to work nights. So I started taking it to work with me at night, started doing my meditation right there on the job because I worked a 12-hour shift. I had this one guy that worked with me, but they didn't kill the people. I sat there and I meditated. I said my prayers, he looked over at me like, whatever floats your boat. But I didn't care. I continued to do my spiritual practice right there. So I started growing the confidence again, started feeling better, like, yeah, So anyway, out of the blue, my husband says to me, Dana, people go to church Sunday after Sunday and their life don't change. Well, I didn't answer him because I thought it was a rhetorical question. Hey, because I already know what I know, but that's just what I know. So he asked that question again. So the third time that he asked that question, I said, well, you're not going to get what you're looking for going to the traditional church. What you're looking for, you're only going to find in the New Thought type of churches, metaphysic churches, where they teach you are one with spirit, you are divine, your abundance is right here, right now, not in the afterlife when you die. And to my surprise, he says, go find us a church home. And I was on that like bees to honey. So I did. So I went and I made a few phone calls because then I had to figure out what do we even call this type of teaching. Well, then we found this church, Joyful Gathering Spiritual Center, and we started going there, which I am still a member of. So, so it is so good. And yeah. So, but one of the things that I know, sometimes your life can take different directions than you plan. But the one thing that I come to realize, looking back, everything is always working together for my good, no matter what it looks like. So, let me tell you guys a story. We bought an investment property, okay, and we was going to rehab this property in 6 weeks. Nothing went as planned. Nothing was planned. We went through several contractors, money depleted, and the work unfinished. It was a recipe for financial disaster. So I was getting bogged down with thinking about everything that was wrong. There was a statement that kept resurfacing in my mind. When my partner gave me her part of the money, she said to me, "Dana, I trust you." I mean, I tell you, that's big shoes to fill when somebody say they trust you, because now you know you got to do everything you do to fulfill what you have promised you can do. So walking through that house one day, my emotions welled up in me, and I yelled out once again, because I constantly have this yelling match with God sometimes. It must be okay, because lightning didn't strike me yet. So walking through the house one day, my emotions just welled up in me, and I yelled out, "She trusts me? Who am I? I trust you, God. Where are you? Where are you?" So let me be clear. The only God that I know is the God that created me, and it's at the center of my being, and his circumference is nowhere to be measured. That is the only God that I know. So I knew a little bit about metaphysics and thoughts of things. So I knew while my mind was convoluted with fear and doubt, I was unable to create and new ideas just couldn't break through. So I had to make a decision. The only decision that I could make. Failure was not an option, and bankruptcy is nowhere in my future. And now the work had begun, and the real work was mental. It was all mental. So I started a new meditation practice every morning from home, because things are serious now. Every morning from home, I started my practice, affirming that everything is working together for my good, no matter what it appeared to look like. Because when I talk to people, they tell me, "Oh, bankruptcy is okay. You can start all over." All the things I didn't want to hear, because I'm not going to be part of that. I know too much to be part of that. So I had a paradigm shift. After I made that decision, it wasn't long before my mind was flooded with ideas and strategies to how to get this rehab back on the right track. So one of the ideas I had, I did. I go to my office and have a conversation with one of my partners, right? Because I know in this office, when you talk, the sound just goes out everywhere. So the proposal was a loan to complete the remaining part of the rehab for a certain amount of money, told them how much, for 4 months, backed by a promissory note, promise to pay. You don't pray, you can file against me and probably get the house or whatever. I promise to pay. Within 1 hour, I had 3 offers. I tell you, 1 hour I had 3 offers. So okay, so now here we are. Now, mind you, through the process that I was going through, that whole process, I was going to bed every night listening to Reverend Michael Beckwith's talks. And I heard him say, you have to ask the universe empowering questions. Like, what if? But is it possible? And I still love those questions. What if, or is it possible? I heard him say, every question has an answer, and the answer is always with me. So anytime I felt doubt creeping in, I just asked those empowering questions that supported the completion of this rehab property. So as my world turns, I heard Reverend Michael Becker say he was taking this group to Egypt. So I started contemplating the possibility of going. I added visualization to my spiritual study and meditation every morning. And it was something like this. Is it possible for me to complete the rehab on 243 Evergreen Drive, and everything paid in full, and provide the revenues for me to go to Egypt? Then I would visualize myself, because we all had to find out our roommates. We had to call up and find who our roommates was going to be, stuff like that, and then give the deposit. So I started visualizing myself with my roommate, flying together with my roommate, enjoying all of Egypt with my roommate and all. So, don't make a long story short, I did not know the date and the time or the price, so I called the guy back to get that information. So the deposit had to be paid within 3 weeks of from that time, and then the full payment had to be paid the next month. So as I started just getting excited, this excitement welling up in me. So then, but it still wasn't realistic because I still didn't have the money. So what I did was I called the only person that could talk sense to me without me feeling insulted. So I called my mother, because my mother knows my situation. My mother knows I have no money. So I called my mother. Mom, Michael Becker is going to Egypt. I really want to go. She said, oh, you should go. So I reminded her of my situation. And she says to me, oh, don't worry about that. That's being taken care of, Dana. She said, you just get yourself a toothbrush and new pair of panties, put them in the and that's exactly what I did, and that's exactly what happened. Wow. So I tell you, so I went to Egypt. Oh, one big thing too. So the last time I meditated, I just really felt like this is definitely taking place. So when I said the spirit in me wants to go to Egypt, and so it did. Because in that meditation, I got the sense that God said to me, I'm going to take you places you've never been before, show you things you've never seen, and just elevate you in ways that you can't even conceive of right now. So I went to Egypt in August 2016 and sold that investment property all in October 2016. So I mean, I went on that trip first. So all things is possible to me because I believe. So since then, my life took on a whole new direction, and now I'm a spiritual practitioner, and my vision is to be a traveling public speaker. My vision is to enjoy the adventures of speaking wisdom, inspiration, and abundance along the way. I'm so grateful that I was invited to Reverend Glenda's retirement dinner. There, I was having a conversation over dinner, and now here I am sharing my experience with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.